that under Rule 10(3) of the European Parliament's Rule of Procedure, members and guests are not permitted to display banners, flags, or other visual materials. If someone still or continue to do so, I will not give that person, that member, the floor. So that's our rules. I will follow the rules. Okay. So hello. We were waiting. No, it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. So now we can start. And today's session of the Fund Committee, it is together with Betty. So I really appreciate Madame Guarda to be here with us to co-share this session on the European Citizens Initiative, My Voice, My Choice for Safe and Accessible Abortion. I would like also to thank especially and very much the presence of Commissioner Lahbib with us as usual. She's always ready to come to the FAM committee. So thank you very much. And also all the civil society stakeholders that are with us, including the Citizens Initiative representative from My Voice, My Choice. Thank you very much. So I have, as I was saying before, I will repeat it. Before we start with the program, I would like to make some announcements. Today, public hearing is web streamed, and interpretation is provided in all official languages. So thank you to the interpreters in advance for their work. Again, sorry to insist on that, but I would like to recall that under Rule 10(3) of the European Parliament's Rule of Procedures, members and guests are not permitted to display banners, flags, or other visual materials. Equally, members and everyone present shall not disrupt the good order of the chamber and shall refrain from improper behavior. I therefore ask you all to comply fully with the rule throughout our hearing. Should any display of banners, similar items occur, I will intervene in accordance with our procedures. Thank you really very much. I'm sorry for insisting on that. I thank you all for your cooperation. And now let's proceed with the agenda. As you might know already, on 1st September 2025, the European Citizens Initiative achieved an important milestone. More than 1 million signatures were verified, confirming its validity under European Union law. The organizers are calling on the Commissioner to put forward concrete measures to ensure safe and accessible abortion for everyone across the European Union. In response, the European Parliament and our committee, with the Committee on Petitions in particular, will now take the next formal step and organize the official hearing as required under Rule 2028 of our Rule of Procedures. As you know, the European Parliament has taken a clear and consistent position on defending sexual and reproductive health and rights in recent years. In 2021, with the adoption of the European Parliament resolution of 24th June 2021 on the situation of sexual and reproductive health and rights in the European Union, in the frame of women's health, we recognized these rights as fundamental human rights. And in July 2022, we reaffirmed this commitment by calling for the inclusion of abortion rights in the European Union Charter of Fundamental Rights. More than 1 million Europeans have taken the time to sign this initiative. That is an extraordinary demonstration of citizens' engagement. That is something we are always asking for from this chamber. It reflects a deep concern shared by citizens from every corner of the European Union, that access to safe, legal abortion remains unequal and for many still out of reach. We must ensure that every person within the European Union, every person, every woman, regardless of income, background, or geographical location, can exercise autonomy over their own body. With this citizens' initiative, Europeans are urging us to continue this work we have been doing over the years. They are asking us to ensure protection, safety, and dignity for those who need reproductive health care, and I will add also for the professionals that are involved in this process, that also need protection and dignity in their work. And they are reminding us that rights are meaningful only when they are effectively accessible. As Parliament, we will fulfill our institutional responsibilities. We will hold the public hearing. We will ensure transparent debate, and we will listen carefully to the European Citizens' Initiative organisers, the Commission, and the European Union advisory bodies, the Economic and Social Committee, that it is also present here, and the Committee of Regions. But beyond the procedural steps, we also have a political responsibility to acknowledge the courage of the citizens who launched this initiative, to recognize the real hardship faced by people denied essential care, and to work towards solutions grounded in empathy, evidence, and fairness, I would say in democracy and in fundamental rights that are enshrined in our treaties. Colleagues, my voice, my choice is not only about abortion rights. It is, obviously, but not only. It is about the kind of union we want to build. A union that protects individual freedoms, a union that reduces inequalities, a union that stands by its citizens when they need it most. Let us honor this initiative with serious, respectful, and forward-looking action. So now I would like to pass on the floor to thank again the Vice Chair of Petty Commission. So thank you very much for joining us today. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, colleague Galvez. Thank you to all of you. I'm so sorry for the delay. My daughter didn't let me go physically come to work this morning, and so I apologize, first of all. Then I want to thank you for all of you to be here, and I want to thank all of the participants, all of the MEPs present today, because it's very important to open the dialogue after this big, massive participation from citizens from the European Union. I will go to speak Italian, so please, headphone on. Sono davvero...
I'm very honoured and I feel very emotional about sharing this moment with you, discussing this topic. My thanks go to the members of the FEM committee for the cooperation and the work that's been done on this topic. I wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate everyone on the excellent work that's been done thus far. And today, I'm really looking forward to the debate and meeting the speakers and hearing from everyone at this meeting. I know that there are people here who come from different backgrounds and have different stories, who share or perhaps do not share some of the issues that are mentioned in this European Citizens Initiative. So today I want us to be able to have a frank discussion which is respectful. That's my plea for today. The European institutions shouldn't impose values, but they should allow people to act safely and to be able to explain and express their own choices and values. That's the job of the European institutions. And for me, co-chairing this is a really emotional moment, and it's very satisfying as well. I come from a place where active citizenship has really been successful. So having a citizens' initiative as president of the Petty Committee makes me even prouder. And congratulations go to the organisers who've managed to table such a priority for so many European citizens and have 1.2 million signatures. European citizens' initiatives are one of the most direct, significant means of democratic participation in the European Union. And via this instrument, citizens can bring to the attention of the European institutions a topic which they think is a priority, which helps them to define and contribute to defining the political agenda in Europe. Which means we have to be really respectful when discussing this. This is a key part of participatory democracy. The fact that your initiative has got more than the required number of signatures shows how actively people are taking part in this. And I would remind my colleagues, the objective here of this hearing shows how important this initiative is. My Voice, My Choice focuses on questions of health, personal independence, and these are complex, sensitive issues that are deeply meaningful for many citizens. And our point here is to listen to your proposals carefully, to understand your motivations, and to encourage an open dialogue between the promoters of this instrument and the experts. The fundamental rights, public health, subsidiarity, the principle of subsidiarity, and the different levels of social sensitivity within the European Union, that will be the basis of our discussion today. And that's why the hearing represents a key moment in ensuring transparency, procedural meticulousness, and clarity. The topic, the subject matter, is one where there are lots of different rules and laws in member states, which means why we have to really assess European competences, the limitations of the current legal framework, and areas where action could be taken. The European Citizens Initiative offers an opportunity to clarify and discuss these different topics and how we can ensure safe, equal access to healthcare within the European Union, allowing women to be cared for with the best medical, psychological care, respecting social, cultural diversity in the different member states. We need balance, technical analysis, proportionality analysis, and I'd like to thank those behind the initiative. Thank you for your commitment, and thank you for honouring the spirit of the European Citizens Initiatives, which allows different positions to come together and to strengthen legitimacy, the democratic legitimacy of the European Union. Thank you.
Passo ora la parola a...
I now give the floor to Hadja Lahbib, who is the Commissioner for Equality, Preparedness and Crisis Management.
Grazie mille. Honourable chairs, honourable members, dear organisers of the Citizens' Initiative, I would like to start by congratulating the organisers and supporters of this initiative. You have collected over 1 million valid statements of support across the EU. This is already a big achievement. You reached the minimum threshold in 19 member states. Well done. You made my voice, my choice for safe and accessible abortion the 12th citizen initiative submitted to the Commission for examination. While promoting your initiative, you also helped raise awareness of the European Citizens' Initiative itself, something we are also working to do. The European Citizens' Initiative is a unique tool. It allows citizens to bring forward the issues they care about, start a debate, shape the EU agenda, and play an active role in our union's democratic life. Several EU laws have been triggered by successful ECIs, such as the revised Drinking Water Directive and the regulation on transparency and sustainability of EU risk assessment in the food chain. Work also continues on commitments the Commission made in response to recent initiatives such as phasing out animal testing in chemical safety assessment and measures to protect sharks. Once an initiative is received, the Commission has 6 months to decide what action, if any, it will take. This means that the Commission does not yet have a position on your initiative. So we are here mainly to listen to the exchange with the members of the Parliament and stakeholders. Your initiative carries an important message. Preventing unsafe abortion is a matter of public health, and this is undeniably true. The numbers show the scale of the problem. Every year, over 30 million unsafe abortions take place around the world. The World Health Organization stresses the lack of access to safe, affordable, and timely abortion care, and the stigma associated with abortion pose risks to women's physical and mental well-being throughout the course of their lives. Research shows that restricting access to abortion care does not reduce the number of abortions. It only leads to unsafe practices. This public health issue needs to be addressed. The question is how to do it and at which level. Our reply to the ECI will take into account the limits of the EU's competence in health. Article 168 of the Treaty on Functioning of the European Union states that healthcare, including sexual and reproductive healthcare, is a member state competence. Under the treaty, member states are responsible for defining their health policies and how their health services and medical care are organized and delivered. That's true. But the European Union does, however, have the competence to support and complement national health action, including on women's access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. Ladies and gentlemen, in my mission letter, President von der Leyen has entrusted me with leading the Commission's work on sexual and reproductive health issues. In March this year, we acknowledged the importance of sexual and reproductive health and rights in the roadmap for women's rights. Principle 2 of the roadmap includes protecting women's health by supporting and complementing national health action regarding women's access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. We are now preparing the next gender equality strategy to be adopted ahead of International Women's Day 2026. This new strategy will set out concrete action to deliver on the roadmap. We are well aware that regulating sexual and reproductive health issues like abortion is closely linked to ethical choices made by each member state. I want to assure members of this House that the Commission's decision on the ECI will not encroach on these national choices. The EU is here to support and complement. Independently of the Commission's decision on the ECI, we will continue to support regular exchanges of good practices between member states and stakeholders on gender equality and health. This includes on sexual and reproductive health and rights through our mutual learning program and beyond. We will also continue to fund civil society organizations working on gender equality, including sexual and reproductive health and rights, through our Citizens' Equality, Rights and Value, the SERVE program. This includes its successor in the next multi-annual financial framework, the Agora program. And we will also closely monitor how member states transpose the directive on combating violence against women and domestic violence to ensure that victims of sexual violence have access to healthcare services such as sexual and reproductive healthcare in line with national law. Dear organizers of the ECI, My Voice, My Choice, today marks an important moment in the examination phase of your initiative. Today, other institutions and stakeholders will have the chance to hear more about your initiative and share their views. And I'm looking forward to your presentation and to the discussions ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for being here and also for your commitment and your strength moving women's rights and gender equality causes. Before we pass on the core part of this hearing, I would like first to thank the ushers because they are really taken very seriously that there is no incident in this room in today's hearing. I know some they told that no pictures are allowed. It is not allowed if you are disturbing or offending, but if you are sit down, you can really take pictures. I insist if there's no disturbing or not offending. Okay, that is just to clarify that aspect. So as I say, now we move, and thank you very much for your job again. That is excellent, obviously, as always it is. So we move now to the core part of our hearing, the presentation of the European Citizens Initiative, My Voice, My Choice for Safe and Accessible abortion. So now the organizers of the initiative will have the floor for 20 minutes. There are 4, and they will have 5 minutes each. So it's a pleasure, as we have said before, to welcome you again in this fun committee today. More important because it's with Petty committee, which is a very important committee that it is the closest one to the citizenship. We really look forward your contributions. So I will present the 4 of you and then just give the floor to one of you. And please keep the time as much as you can. So our first speaker, and we all practically know her, is Nika Kovac. She's the coordinator of the Pan-European movement, My Voice, My Choice. Under her leadership, this initiative for safe and accessible abortion for European citizens collected 1.1 million signatures. This is really amazing. And mobilized thousands of volunteers across Europe and brought together a network of more than 300 organizations. This is really how we want our citizens to get involved. The next speaker is Theo Gauthier. He's a French lawyer, and his practice focuses mainly on the defense of fundamental rights and criminal defense. Driven by the defense of fundamental rights, He mainly practices before French courts and the European Court of Human Rights. Thank you again. Then we have Dr. Annika Kreitlow. She studied medicine and political science in Hanover, Germany, and has previously worked for various NGOs and the German Bundestag. Thank you for being here as well. Finally, last but not least, as we normally say, Sarah Dourier. She's a French feminist activist and led campaigns that changed the country, including the one enshrining abortion in the French Constitution. And she launched the mobilization platform change.org in France. So thank you very much, all of you, for your work and especially for being here today. So, Madame Nika Kovac, you have the floor for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As a girl, you often hear that you are not enough, that you need to be quieter, that you don't need to expect so much, that you need to look differently. But what is even more devastating is that in some countries, national laws and practices around abortion are giving you a really devastating message. Message that your life is worthless. Message that they can sacrifice you. This is not happening somewhere far away. This is happening in the European Union. I will speak about one example here. Somewhere here in the audience is Mirela, a very brave woman from Croatia. She wanted to have a baby, and she was several months pregnant when she realized that her fetus is having a tumor. Her life was put in danger. And to be safe and to survive, she needed an abortion. She couldn't get an abortion in her home country, Croatia. Not because abortion would be forbidden there, but because doctors did not want to perform it. Mirela needed to cross the border to get the basic health care. She needed to come to Slovenia, and she got a procedure there which saved her life. This is not the only case. I could speak about Polish women, Dorota, for example, who were killed in Polish hospitals, and they would survive in any other country in the European Union. These are not individual cases. These are symptoms of a system which is telling women that their lives does not come first. As a girl, you often hear that you are not enough. But soon you realize that if you bring your friends together, you can create a movement. After Roe versus Wade was overturned in the US, we decided to do something to protect reproductive rights in the European Union. We knew that things are clear. Firstly, European Union cannot intervene in national laws. Secondly, European Union needs to protect its own citizens where the national legalizations put them in danger. Because of this, we formed a very simple idea. European Union needs to create a financial mechanism which will allow women from the places where they cannot get safe abortion to travel to places where abortion is safe and accessible and do it there. Around this idea, we created a movement. Thousands of people from diverse backgrounds were collecting signatures on the street. We got 1,200,000 signatures, and we know that we have something strong. But what is standing against us? A very small minority, which is very, very loud. They are smart, and they know the facts. They know that banning abortions does not mean less abortions. It just means unsafe abortions. They also know that reproductive health is basically meaning decline of abortions. And what they also know is that in the European Union, the majority of people is supporting reproductive justice. And now, because of this, I am asking you, members of European Parliament and people who are in positions of power, that you show unity, that you take responsibility and that you take action. With your actions, you can make sure that in Europe, not a single woman will be afraid because they could not get access to the doctor. You can make sure that not a single life will be endangered because lack of access to medical help. As a girl, they often tell you that you are not enough. But then you realize that if you bring people together from different communities, you can create a movement which can together change the world. And in our case, it can change it in a way that it established a Europe where every single person will live life full of dignity, not only in theory, but also in practice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And yes, thank you for reminding all us that every girl is enough. Every person should be enough in his dignity as well. So now I would like to give the floor to Théo Gauthier. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I will speak in French, so if you want to put the headphone. Madame la Commissaire, Mesdames...
Commissioner, members, I'm very pleased to be here today with you to talk about the legal aspects of the My Voice, My Choice initiative, first on the EU competence in the area, and then on the need for the EU to act to implement its values and objectives. The member states some years ago decided together that our union would be founded on respecting human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, the rule of law, and respecting human rights. Article 2 of the Treaty of the European Union says this. The goal is to promote peace, values, and the well-being of the people. Nevertheless, there's something we can see today. These values are not being enjoyed by all Europeans. Depending on where they are, they do not have the same access to fundamental rights and freedoms as others. There are women in Europe who have to use illegal means to terminate an undesired pregnancy. Our Citizens' Initiative has shown that there is a desire amongst the people in the European Union to end this situation, which is against our common values. Today we're asking for a mechanism to be set up that will allow every European, if they desire, to abort in a safe, legal way. We are aware of the state of law in the European Union and its limits, which is why we're asking for you to modify the Charter of Fundamental Rights or to implement a legislative act binding the member states to change their own legislation. But that's not the objective of our initiative per se. We're asking for the institutions to intervene under Article 168 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union, by which the European Union can support member states' policies to improve public health. It was said that access to abortion is a public health question. The restrictions do not limit the practice, but actually lead to dangerous abortions being carried out with serious medical complications or even deaths and psychological suffering. Our proposal is a simple one. Member states that want to could join a program that would allow them to terminate pregnancies for women with European funding. This mechanism meets European legal requirements because it would depend on the member states' willingness to join the program. So no one would be bound to carry out abortions, and the member states that decide to join could carry out abortions in accordance with their national legal frameworks and practices. So no member states would be bound to change its own legislation. The mechanism would fully respect the autonomy of the member states in how to organise their health services and how to define their own legislation from a public health point of view. We're asking for a solidarity programme to be set up, allowing each member state to ensure the fundamental rights of women who are not allowed to do this in their own member state of residence. And we believe that this mechanism would provide for the European Union's values to be implemented in practice. The European Union has chosen the respect of human dignity as a key part of its action, but stopping a woman from terminating a pregnancy cannot be reconciled with this declaration of values. The EU has set the target of promoting the well-being of its people, but making a woman choose a dangerous means of abortion is irreconcilable with these objectives. The European Union has set an objective of fighting inequality, and we say that banning access to abortion when the WHO says that a danger-free or risk-free abortion is a privilege of the risk, whereas poorer women have to resort to dangerous practitioners, is irreconcilable with this objective. My Voice, My Choice, the initiative, objects to make sure that the objective of which is to make sure that the values that we've set as Europeans are put into place whilst respecting the legal framework of the treaties at the same time. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Annika Kreidlov, the floor is yours for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I also have my presentation? Yeah, it's up. Thank you. My name is Annika Kreidlo, and I'm speaking to you today as a doctor who's performing abortions on the daily. As a doctor, I know firsthand what the lack of access to healthcare, and especially the lack of access to abortion, can do. It will not stop women and pregnant people from having abortions. It will just force them to attain abortions under unsafe conditions. According to WHO, an abortion, when performed in a safe setting, is a very simple medical procedure with low medical risks. Next slide, please. The earlier in the pregnancy an abortion is performed, the less risk and complications are to be expected, which leads the WHO to recommend that all women globally need to have access to abortion care that is easily accessible, affordable, geographically reachable, and without discrimination. Next slide, please. However, when the access to abortion care is restricted and abortions are being performed in unsafe conditions, and when the medical care is severely delayed, it can lead to severe consequences for the health of the pregnant woman. When unsterile equipment is used, an abortion can lead to a severe infection of the tissue and the muscle of the uterus. When the wrong surgical instruments, for example the so-called curettage, are being used, it can lead to scarring in the uterine walls, possibly ending in infertility. When excessive bleeding occurs and healthcare personnel cannot attend in time, this can lead to severe, possibly deadly blood loss. Being denied access to a safe abortion and forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy to term can also lead to major mental health implications for the pregnant people. Next slide. The mere fact that in the European Union, 20 million women do not have access to this essential and sometimes life-saving care should be reason enough for the EU to act and implement what the My Voice, My Choice for Safe and Accessible Abortion initiative is proposing, and with it, reduce the number of unsafe abortions in Europe. I also want to highlight that the lack of access to abortion care does not only affect women with unwanted pregnancy. Sometimes, also in a wanted and planned pregnancy, an abortion can become necessary when the physical or mental health of the expectant mother is severely endangered, or for example, when a severe fetal abnormality occurs during the pregnancy. In these cases, time can become a life-saving factor, as sometimes a dangerous infection caused by this unhealthy pregnancy could be spreading through the woman's body, possibly leading to her death when not attended in time. This is the case of what happened to the Polish woman Isabella, who died because of a sepsis occurring in her 22nd week of pregnancy, or what could have happened to Mirella, who you already heard about today, whose life was only saved because she was able to travel out of her own country to receive care. When we are talking about the benefits of what My Voice, My Choice is proposing, these are the women whose lives will be saved by it. Barriers to safe and accessible abortion are also not always legal ones. We are currently seeing a huge lack of abortion care providers, which is not only due to legal restrictions, but also due to lack of proper training, as well as conscious objection laws in some countries. Recent data published in Germany, where I'm from, however, has shown that over 60% of those doctors who are currently not performing abortions would actually be willing to do so if their hospital would allow them, if they would have been properly taught, or if the bureaucratic and legal barriers could be reduced. Before I end, I want to get to the last slide, please. Before I end, I want to conclude that my goal and my personal motivation as a doctor is always to offer my patients the best possible care in any life circumstances. For me, that means being with them through a wanted, healthy, happy pregnancy, just as much as through an unwanted or unhealthy pregnancy. And I do believe that the proposed My Voice, My Choice initiative can bring safe, affordable, and easily accessible abortions to all women in the entire European Union. Because if we, as the EU, do not manage to provide this to all the women in this continent, we would be failing them. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, I would like to give the floor to Sarah Derieux. The floor is yours for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you say, I'm a feminist activist, and I've been supporting the My Voice, My Choice initiative from France since its inception. I've been working on access to abortion for a few years now, and in particular, I've been organizing a very large coalition in France to actually bring guaranteed freedom of abortion into the French constitution. On the very day we celebrated this immense victory in France, we also launched the French Signature Connection for My Voice, My Choice initiative to bring safe and accessible abortion to anyone in Europe. So what made us successful in France is also at the core of the success of My Voice, My Choice today. As you said, it brought 1.2 million Europeans from very different walks of life together. My Voice, My Choice is not just a European citizens' initiative. It's a movement of people who have made a simple signature collection into a collective effort across divides. Today we are here on their behalf, and we want to thank them for all their efforts. Groups all over Europe organize themselves locally to collect signatures in the streets. As you can see on the slide, thousands have joined messaging groups to communicate and organize in their country. Some other people have used their voices on social media to convince their close ones. We have seen young people collecting signatures together with retirees. We saw collections in large cities and small villages. This campaign brought together youth and elderly, people of different faiths and convictions, people who vote differently, men and women, French, Polish, Spanish, Italian, German, Maltese, Slovenian, everyday people, and political leaders, including people in this room, around the shared vision of hope for a better future for all Europeans. We have collected signatures in every single country in Europe. This is a large and broad movement coming from the people. My Voice, My Choice is not just a popular citizen effort. It is a proposal that is based, as you've just heard, on data and research and on the expertise of people who have first-hand knowledge of the situation on the ground. More than 300 organizations support the demand of My Voice, My Choice, and amongst them, organizations working and helping women within restrictive legislative frameworks. For example, Federa, Abortion Dream Team, different chapter of CHOCHA, and Doctors for Choice Malta. It's also organizations like Doctors for Choice Germany that work in legislative frameworks where there are financial barriers to abortion care and other problems with regulation, like abortion still being criminalized. We also have support from organizations that work in countries with good legislation, like Le Planning Familial from France, Vaestolito, the Family Federation of Finland. And last but not least, we have support from international experts organizations and the International Confederation of Midwives and the International Federation of Abortion and Contraception Professionals. All agree that the EU mechanism, like the one we are proposing, would have immediate positive effects on women's reproductive health in Europe. So making our proposal a reality will not only save lives, it will actually mean that the EU is serving its purpose, answering the need of people of Europe in all their diversity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let's try that Europe is really giving an answer to its purpose and also this parliament. And for that, we move to the next part of this hearing, which is to give the voice and the floor to the committees invited to this hearing, that are the DEVE, the SANT, and LIBE committees. So I would like to start by Vice Chair of the DEVE committee, and also a member of this committee, the FAM committee, a very active member and very much linked to this initiative, and coordinator of a Renew group, Abir Al-Sahalani. So the floor is yours for 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for this, and thank you, Commissioner, for being here. First, I want to congratulate the My Voice, My Choice team. You have done a remarkable journey. Thank you for bringing this extremely important initiative to the core of the European Union's decision-making. I know you have faced attacks, threats, and ugly tactics from the anti-gender movement. Of this, I'm very painfully aware. And maybe the most painful thing is that they are also present in this room. And I just want to make it very, very clear. These attacks that you have been faced with are totally unacceptable. And they are a huge disgrace for the European Union. But they cannot silence us. Not us, the pro-European, the pro-democratic, and pro-rights voices. Everyone here needs to know that you have a strong support for this initiative in the House. You have shown us that Europeans care. They care deeply about women's rights. They want women to have the right to decide over their own bodies. They care about women's equal access to a fundamental health service, safe and legal abortion. The force behind your initiative is stronger than the resistance that we are all meeting. We should never forget this. This is a call from citizens. We must respect it, or we will lose the trust and the legitimacy of our democracy. So let's make history together. We expect to see this opt-in financial mechanism put forward by the Commission, Madam Commissioner. This is our expectation for March. But let me put on my DEVE hat for a second, because this is why I was invited to this. This is in this characteristic that I'm talking today. We know that 45% of all abortions worldwide are unsafe. That is around 25 million plus abortions, meaning 25 million women's lives at risk. Tens of thousands and more of these women die. They die from something we can easily prevent. Banning abortions only achieves two things: an increased number of unsafe abortions and more maternal deaths. In developing countries, a majority of abortions are unsafe, and complication of unsafe abortion cost a lot of money for their health systems that are already under immense pressure from aid cuts. Your movement is not just important for Europe, and that is something that you should take with you. Around the world, your work is an inspiration for all women going through unsafe abortions and to human rights defenders fighting for their cause, risking their lives. Thank you also for giving a platform for their voices to be heard. EU must have their back too. While we take steps to ensure safe and legal abortion to all EU citizens, we must also ensure that SRHR are prioritized with funding in our external actions. And last Saturday, I came back from Malta on a mission with all of us. And I need to say this, I'm sorry I'm going outside my own script, that we have a lot to do. The way these was women's rights and women's bodies that are perceived in that island is something that shocked me. And how we, the EU, during the accession of Malta into the EU, threw women's rights under the buses, shocked me. I really was not aware. And this gives us also food for thought for the upcoming negotiations with countries who are candidates to become members of the EU, that women's rights, it's one of the priority asks for being a member in the European Union. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing here that it is not only a problem for European women, but also women all over the world, even more than here, although each woman deserves the same dignity. And now we move to the SUN committee. The SUN vice chair from the Greens group, Tilly Metz. So the floor is yours for 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, dear Chair, dear Commissioner, dear chairs, dear friends of the European Citizens Initiative, My Voice, My Choice. Women who lack access to safe and legal abortion are deprived from fundamental rights. Rights to dignity, rights to bodily autonomy, right to health. When these rights are denied, women are considered to second-class citizens. We all know by now that the lack of access to abortion and the reality of unsafe abortion is dangerous, and we saw it even too often deadly. And yet we are here in 2025 still, or shall I say again, needing to talk about it, still needing to convince and still needing to defend what should be a fundamental and uncontested right. The European Citizens Initiative, My Voice, My Choice, reminds us of something very essential. Preventing unsafe abortion is a public health matter. As Vice Chair of the Public Health Committee, I couldn't agree more. From a public health perspective, unsafe abortion is not to be moral, or it's not an ideological question. It's a question of preventable harm. It's a question of avoidable trauma, of inequality that we have the power and that we have the responsibility to address. We cannot simply just cherry-pick which healthcare services we consider acceptable for European citizens. Nor can we decide that bodily autonomy is a luxury or some are entitled to and others not. Safe care is good care. Anything else is neglect. This initiative offers a pragmatic and a solidarity-driven approach, a voluntary opt-in EU financial mechanism supporting member states willing to ensure safe abortion for anyone in Europe who lacks access at home. It does not harmonize national laws. It does not override national competence. It builds on existing EU tools from Article 168 of the treaties to cross-border healthcare directive, and it turns them into real solidarity. We know from the SUN Committee's consultations on women's health that women across Europe still face massive gaps in sexual and reproductive health care. Access to sexual, reproductive health and rights was rating among the lowest of all healthcare areas. And health inequalities, including in reproductive care, were identified as one of the most urgent issues the EU should address. Colleagues, defending access to safe and legal abortion is a public health matter, because abortion care is healthcare, and our union of values cannot look away. Europe cannot be a union of values if women's health is negotiable. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing here the Sant voice. And last but not least, we will move to Liebe, to Marina Kayurand. She's the vice chair of the Liebe committee, but also a member of this farm committee. So Marina, and colleague from the S&D. So Marina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Lina. Commissioner, colleagues, organizers. I would like to echo what the previous speaker said in recognizing and congratulating you on bringing this topic to this House. I would also like to congratulate and recognize each and every person who signed your petition and who openly supported your very important and timely cause. Today I'm speaking on behalf of the LIBE Committee, but also in my personal capacity, as you can see. Women's rights are human rights, and every woman deserves safe and affordable abortion, irrespective of her place of origin, of her place of residence, of her social and cultural background, without any form of discrimination. Today we listen to the sad statistics, and it's time to listen to experts and those who work in the field. Many women in the EU still do not have access to a safe and legal abortion, which means that their health remains in jeopardy, which means that they are discriminated. I come from Estonia. I'm in a privileged position, like every woman in Estonia, where we can count on safe, legal, timely, affordable abortion. But I will not be quiet until each and every woman in Europe will have the same right. I would like to reiterate what was said, that limitation of reproductive care does not reduce abortions. On the contrary, it leads to unsafe abortions, it's a health risk, and that could not be and could be, in some cases, terminal. It's the question of health, it's the question of security, it's the question of dignity, it's the question of human rights, it's the question of non-discrimination. In my role as the LIBE Vice Chair, I would like to reaffirm LIBE's commitment to fostering open dialogue on matters raised by citizens and to supporting cooperation among member states in areas related to the protection of rights and the well-being of individuals, always with full respect for the different national frameworks. In my personal capacity, I would like to say that it's time also for our House to be committed, to be firm, and to go to the vote on the 12th of December with full determination. We heard the Commission's plan. We are one of the institutions of the EU which is elected directly by citizens, the same citizens who gave you your signatures and who gave signatures to this cause. So, dear colleagues, I would like to urge you, before pushing the button on the 12th of December, to consider each and every woman who is today deprived of this elementary fundamental right. She might be a sister, she might be a mother, she might be a daughter. So, dear colleagues, let's make the right decision on the 12th of December. And I hope that your initiative will one day become a reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your words, your commitment, that it is always with us. So now we move to another part of this hearing. We start by questions and answers, starting for coordinators or members that are speaking on their behalf. And As you know, this is a joint hearing from FAM and PETI. So I will be giving the floor to both FAM and PETI. For some political groups, is the same person. So that person will have double of the time. But each one will have 2 minutes, and I will kindly ask you to speak only for 2 minutes. So we start by EPP, FAM committee. So Miroslava and Nikiel, you have the floor for 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I speak Polish. Szanowni Państwo.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you the position of the EPP coordinator, Leonora Maletti. And I will start by stating something that is really fundamental to me. I fully support the main objective of the European Citizens Initiative, My Voice, My Choice, which is ensuring that all women in Europe have access to safe and legal abortion. This is a fundamental issue of public health. This is a matter of dignity and of women's rights. And in this matter, I am on the side of the initiative. However, supporting this overall objective does not release me from the obligation to look at the wider framework in which this happens. And because I treat this objective so seriously, I feel responsible to report certain concerns. During the past months, many of us who are supporting this initiative have been concerned about your organizational strategy, which raises certain questions. You talk about transparency, yet certain internal procedures, beginning by choosing your political priorities, ending with coordinating your political decision, remain unclear. If you expect the citizens to entrust you with this very serious issue, you have to gain their trust by full clarity and openness. And it becomes even more important when we see that some of your social media activity drifts towards ideological commentary that goes beyond the scope of the objective of the initiative. When the matter at hand is something as important as access to safe abortion, public communication should remain focused, material, and closely related to your mission. I also have to refer to situations where attempts at expressing opinions by certain members were discouraged and were presented in a negative light. This does not contribute to improving the women's position. It actually impacts negatively the initiative. Also, some members of my group were presented as extremists, which does not contribute to a constructive dialogue and really transforms this very important issue into a political battle. Your public communication, your public messaging sometimes presents the participation process as very idealistic, without conflicts, but citizens need to know what particular safeties and securities you intend to implement to ensure participation of persons whose opinions may be different or critical. How are you going to prevent a situation where the initiative will be used, also indirectly, as a tool to attack political actors in national political campaigns? So I want this to be heard. I support the fight for access to safe abortion, but I remain skeptical towards the broad operational model of the strategy and certain internal decisions that were taken. If the initiative wants to reinforce the voice of citizens, it needs to demonstrate that it's open to all voices, not just the supportive and convenient ones. So my question is, what measures are you willing to implement to ensure full transparency? And I'd like to use the chance that my personal message is congratulations and thanks to you for what you're doing. And I would like to express my solidarity, and I wish all the best to all the organizers, especially the Polish representatives. Thank you.
So thank you very much. I really ask, please, to keep that, the list of the Catch the Eye, it is a huge list. So please keep the time, otherwise our colleagues will not have the chance to speak. I have to say that unfortunately our commissioner has left. She could not stay with us, and she has a very busy schedule. Today the Gender Equality Index will be presented, and obviously by the AGE she has to be there, so I would like to apologize on her behalf, but we have Mrs. Momotsova that will be with us in her place, so thank you very much for joining us. And now we continue with EPP. Now we move to Betty. So Peter Ayus, you have the floor, please, 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, colleagues. I will speak in English and then in Maltese. I don't want to speak about abortion. I don't even want to speak about the right to life as a fundamental human right. I'm afraid that those discussions risks dividing us along ideological lines. Therefore, I want to speak about the values that unite us. Surely, one value which unites us is subsidiarity, the value that says that decisions are taken closest to the people that concern them. Another value that unites us is democracy, the value that says that we should respect the decisions taken by people. We also hold very dearly the value of rule of law, which says that we should respect the laws that pertain to the land. Now I'm going to switch to Maltese.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hail from Malta, and Malta is a small country. However, people know what they want. When we were negotiating the accession agreement, as our colleague Tilimet said, we have treated on the basis of protocol number 7 on part of the Treaty of Accession, which is endorsed as well by the Parliament, European Parliament, which says in English,
shall affect the application in the territory of Malta of national legislation relating to abortion. Issa bħalma tafu ħafna minnkom.
As you know, Malta treats abortion as illegal. I'm not going to address this here today. However, this decision pertains to the Maltese people and not the European Parliament. And therefore, when I speak about democracy, the last thing I could notice in Malta was the demonstrations on the streets when the government proposed the introduction of abortion. And therefore, please give me an advice. How can I explain to my people, to the Maltese, that what they decided for, we overturn it here, and that I put aside whatever they want?
And now we move to S&D. In S&D, Johanna Schering-Wilgus, she has 4 minutes because she will be speaking on behalf of FAM Committee and Petty Committee. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I will be speaking Polish. Wielokrotnie Polska była.
On many occasions, Poland has been mentioned during this debate. I'd like to talk about the facts. Abortion in Poland for decades was legal, but in 2022, on the 20th of October, the Constitutional Tribunal made abortion law more restrictive. And it's only possible when the woman is raped or when her health is at risk. But in practice, on the same day, because I was there and I listened to the verdict, all doctors in Poland stopped performing abortions when this verdict was issued. In practice, 1 year after the verdict, the number of legal abortions were 107. 107 abortions across Poland. So in practice, the verdict meant that the doctors are afraid to perform abortions because they are afraid of being arrested and sentenced, because abortion or support in performing abortion is subject to imprisonment. So now non-governmental organizations are working, replacing the state that is inactive. When we look at the non-governmental organization statistics, there are some 100 to 150,000 abortions performed in Poland or by Polish women. So the statistics are very bad or unreliable. Only 2% of legal abortions take place in public hospitals. Next year, 896. 2.4% of abortions are performed outside Poland, in Spain, Belgium, the UK, etc. And 95% of abortions are pharmacological abortions. So these are the absurdities of the situation we are living in Poland. But abortions abroad, of course, are costly, and the entire financial burden is covered by non-governmental organizations. It can cost from several hundred to several thousand per abortion. So this initiative gives an answer to a problem that is very tangible and affects hundreds of thousands of women. And the European Union must be thinking not in terms of national interests, but we should solve this problem in a systemic way. And as a representative of S&D and as a Pole, I think that this initiative is excellent, is something that we should cherish and support, because this will regulate the situation, because it's not only Polish women go abroad to perform abortions. It happens in all the member states, many member states. So we must regulate this problem, because the right to abortion is a human right. So we must support and help our colleagues, our members of our families across political divides. The fact that we have not liberalized abortion in Poland, that Polish women have no right to legal and healthy abortion, is a shame.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now we move to the group Patriots. I only have Margarita de la Pisa Carrion as a speaker, so you can take also the time for the Petty Committee, so you have 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Gracias, Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, dear colleagues. I would like to address the My Voice, My Choice team. Since September, we have seen you pushing forward this initiative with a great deal of energy, and in the same way, those who disagree with it need to do the same thing. We need to do the same. The spirit of democracy is exactly that, having different positions. The laws of each state reflect what has been decided by national parliaments, and this should be respected. This citizens' initiative sends a signal to states that do not provide the free abortion that you propose. Abortion without a time limit, or without previous information being provided, or diagnostic tests for free, including for minors without parental authorization. I think that few people in the European Union would support abortion under those conditions. And on top of that, you want the Commission to push forward this mockery of sovereignty, paying for travel to other countries for abortions with public European money. Have I explained myself clearly? I'm not lying. This making abortion frivolous is something that shocks us. It encourages fear of motherhood. It stops women from taking very difficult decisions, irreversible decisions, without having clear knowledge. This frivolization of abortion is what is bringing our society towards the abyss where human life has no value. And on top of that, it can even be questioned. There are 390 million women in Europe. Do you think that 1.2 million can speak on behalf of all the women of Europe? In order to promote abortion, regardless of the initiative, there's always a need for artificial mobilization behind it, as is the case with this initiative, where there is financing from organizations that make money off of the business of abortion, like Planned Parenthood. I think it's clear to see what the conflict of interest is here. There are also considerable contributions from the Commission. The Commissioner isn't with us right now, but I wonder whether this doesn't break with the principle of neutrality that should be required when it comes to use of European Union funds. Women's rights include protection in the most vulnerable moment of our lives, pregnancy. But you don't believe that. I ask you to wake up, use your energy, the spark you have, not to go counter to those who don't agree, but rather to support motherhood, support women, so that we can be supported by men also. That is what feminists should be demanding, support from society. Here, all of us have a public responsibility. Let us make sure that there are solutions to the difficulties we face, so that we can overcome fear, so that we can dare to love and be loved. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we move to ECR from the FAM Committee, Laurence Trochu. 2 minutes, please.
Madam Chair, colleagues, on the question of abortion, the left is no longer heard, the voice of the left no longer heard, and we find that they're being called, certain people are being called traitors to the women's cause. There are attacks on social media, and so I've been accused personally of lying. What your initiative goes beyond the sovereign decision of member states, and I believe that it should not be accepted. I encourage my colleagues on the right, for example the EPP, to look very carefully at what you're proposing. And I would like to say why I'm opposed to your action, and in doing so, actually defend women, because we have more than 50,000 abortions being performed every year, and women in distress. And this is perhaps being fostered as the only choice possible. It's dictated by, for example, others, and for reasons such as lack of funds or family reasons. And it is a suffering which continues and an emptiness which continues. So these are the facts. And my question is as follows. 20 million European women don't have access to abortion. Where did you get those figures from? And in terms of clandestine abortion, what is the situation really there? And thirdly, is it foreseen that there is a possibility to have this abortion tourism, which would be financed by the European Union? And if you look at the left, why is it that many of your communications are similar, very similar to your pro-Palestinian propaganda? Thank you.
And now we'll still ECR, but from Petty, Paolo Inselvini. The floor is yours for 2 minutes, please.
Grazie, Presidente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I have a question to start with. is this initiative really something which depends on the will of the citizens? Do the citizens want it, or is it coming from elsewhere? If we look at the internet, we see that associations have been sponsored by, for example, George Soros and Bill Gates. $60 million invested over only a few years in order to, if you like, model people's wills all over the world. Last week, for example, this was something which occurred. We were trying to set up an event, for example, to counter these initiatives, and we had a lot of difficulties in actually taking part in an event. It was very difficult for us to get into this event, and that was unacceptable to us. In the ECR, we would repeat clearly that abortion has to come under the national legislation. It has to be national competence. So we question whether the European Union should be continuing in this pursuit. We believe that would be very serious and would be against the treaties. So, going back to the main point of today's meeting, the elementary right of good health, this does come in front of everything else, and that's what we have to do. We have to protect the most fragile and the weakest, and these are the children. They have the fundamental right, and that's what Europe should be defending first of all, because every child has the right to be born and to live. And if I may say, we cannot put women against children. We cannot put women against men. We all have to work together in order to find a way to live in peace. With this kind of initiative, on the other hand, that's not going to happen. It's not easy. So, in conclusion, I know that people would like to shut my mouth, but I promise you that even if, unfortunately, it's not very nice and certain weapons are used, we will not stop saying the uncomfortable truth. Every life counts. As you see, we're not shutting anyone's mouth here.
So, Abir Salani, there is the representative from the Petitions not here from Renew, so you have 4 minutes if you want to take it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm actually amused and horrified at the same time from some of my colleagues, both statements that are in many parts so anti-woman, anti-gender, and in many parts also not factual. Let me just give you one fact. The anti-gender movement got 1.2 billion USD from 2019 to 2023. So many of those here sitting today have been enabled to be sitting here today because of anti-gender movement money. So let's start there with that transparency, colleagues, if you may, instead of shouting false accusations towards these NGOs and young people here in the EU who actually, did so much better job than you have, because they were able to gather 1.2 million signatures with their own means, with their own energy, using their own platforms. They succeeded doing something that you have not been able to. And to my Maltese colleague, I just want to remind him that in Malta, until now, until this date, over 600 abortion pills have been imported, ordered online. What that tells me is that there is a lack of political courage in Malta to actually talk about this issue. It's not about the Maltese people only wanting that. There is not real political courage to address the issue because the political parties in Malta are too coward to challenge the conservative view on women's rights. And just because there is a law that is criminalizing abortion doesn't mean that it should always stay there. An unjust, unfair law, it's not a law at all. and if you ask me, should not be respected. But this initiative is not going that way. It's proposing an EU fund, EU money mechanism to make it possible for the women where abortion is not legal, is not safe, to go to another member state to do the abortion. It's not going into national legislation or national competence. I would urge all colleagues, especially on the right wing of this House, and maybe especially the EPP, because you've been saying things that are so strange about that this initiative has become political and the NGOs here has to be transparent. Well, you don't demand that from your own political parties. Why are you demanding it from this initiative? And what they have for strategy on social media is their damn right to decide what kind of decision they want to make and strategy. If EPP MEPs would answer the call that they have been sending, the emails they have been sending, knocking on EPP doors, if they answer, maybe the initiative would have been able to talk to you, but you refuse to talk to them. And now you come in criticizing? This is just, utterly strange. I have 3 questions to the Commission. I suppose we have someone from the Commission here to answer. Thank you. How did the Commission view the legal basis for this initiative and for the proposed mechanism? My first question. My second question is, how do you plan to integrate this initiative to both the current MFF and the upcoming one? And the third question is, how can the Commission encourage Member States to participate in cross-border abortion access schemes, as this is a voluntary mechanism that the Member States can subscribe to? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now we move to Greens, first from FAM Committee. Melissa Camara, Greens Coordinator in FAM. Thank you. The floor is yours for 2 minutes.
I will speak in French. Madame la Présidente.
Madam Chair, dear colleagues, I'd like to begin by sincerely thanking the organizers of this initiative, My Voice, My Choice. Your mobilization has been able to reconcile very different realities, often people who were closed into their national realities, and you brought it here to the Parliament and the European institutions, and this showed that inequalities in access to abortion are not local anomalies. These are European trends that cross across our health systems and our institutions. These inequalities are reinforced by direct anti-choice attacks across the continent. What you've created is a space where voices from across Europe can be heard together. Regardless of within the national situations, we find shared obstacles, administrative obstacles, delays, closures of services, entire territories where the fundamental right of abortion is not accessible, entire territories where the theoretical right doesn't give real access. What I've seen on the ground in Poland, Italy, Hungary, elsewhere, associations of carers and patients describe different obstacles but the same outcome, access that depends on the political situation. Last weekend I was in Malta, as the speaker mentioned earlier, and I was able to see the anxiety related to the criminalization of abortion and the great courage of the advocates on the ground. Recently in France, along with Sarah and others, we celebrated the fact that abortion was enshrined in the French Constitution, and yet my country is often, which is often cited as a pioneer in this area. In that same country, the distances, required closure of services, lack of information, all of this creates situations where the right exists, but not everywhere, not for everyone. At the heart of all of this, there are women who need to be able to make decisions about their bodies without conditions, without fear or obstacles, and this will depend on, and as long as that depends on where they live and how far they are from a hospital, that means we can't talk about this right. That is why we need to look at what happened here last week in this very parliament, where there was an event that was against My Voice, My Choice was held in this parliament. It wasn't just a difference of opinion, as I've heard people say earlier. It was an attempt to undermine rights that are already under pressure. The reaction of a number of colleagues showed that here there is still vigilance when it comes to attempts to destroy our rights. We know that women's rights will only progress if European institutions move forward with them. In this context, the Commission has the opportunity to build the coherence together that will allow for a proper follow-up of this citizens' initiative. In other words, it has a right to the women of this continent. It's not a moral or an abstract abstract debate. It has to do with dignity and fundamental rights, because more than ever we need to be free to make our choice. And I do have a question for my colleague who raised the question of Palestine. You recalled that. Why aren't you talking about Palestine where children are dying every day?
Now we go to Gordon Vasanac from Greens. Petty, please, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. I will speak in Croatian. Prvo bi se
First of all, I would like to thank the organizers on this wonderful adventure. I remember the campaign for the European elections, and lots of my colleagues were in the streets. I was in the streets, and I saw your stands, and I saw how people come to the stands and sign this petition. And this was a signal for me that this is going to succeed. And I'm really happy that you are here with us today and that we reached this phase. Since I come from Croatia, they already the case of Marija Čavajda was mentioned. It was people in Croatia were touched by this case. They understood what a safe and accessible abortion is. And this actually there was a reaction of our citizens, more than 1 million of our citizens. Please, colleagues, don't neglect these signatures. Behind this signature, there might be another 1,000 people. And the strength of this initiative is that this is more than 1 million, but it's more than a number. This is an initiative that does not limit anything. This is an initiative that doesn't forbid anything to anyone. And that's why I think that we need to support it strongly. Those who are against the initiative, they are the ones who limit and forbid. And I think that our choice is really clear. I understand the tactics of the opponents of this initiative, that they want to repeat 110,000 times for this to make it a truth. But we are also going to repeat it hundreds and thousands of times, especially this story and narrative that the European Union is going to order the member states to do something. And that's why I want to ask the organizers, is it true that this initiative is going to force a member state to do something or not? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now we move to the left. Emma Foro, 2 minutes from the FAN Committee. Please, the floor is yours.
Madame la Présidente,
Madam Chair, dear colleagues, dear representatives of My Voice, My Choice, thank you so much for your statements, for your work and your courage. Thank you also for your patience. When we hear things like what we've heard today, I have the opportunity, the good fortune of being born in France at the right time when abortion is enshrined in the Constitution, but in women there are 20 million women who do not have my good fortune and are forced to turn to illegal abortions, risking their lives in extremely dangerous conditions. As if abortion was a crime, as if women who made use of this fundamental right were criminals. But the only thing that is criminal is preventing women from accessing their right to abortion, because yes, the right to abortion is a fundamental right. It cannot be divided from the right to control one's own body. This right is not acquired or guaranteed. Some people here in the Parliament, as we heard earlier, attack the right to abortion. We need to be very clear. Nothing and no one will ever prevent a woman from having an abortion, neither laws nor men. Preventing a woman from abortion is simply putting her life in danger. In Europe today, we still have women who die because they are deprived of this right and of care. And so I have a very simple message to share with all of those men who have nothing better to do with their day than to attack women's rights. If you don't have a uterus, you don't have an opinion. If it's not clear, no uterus, no opinion. It's our lives, our bodies, not your choice. The initiative My Voice, My Choice proposes something that is fair and that could be used as one of the most important decisions in the European Union when it comes to sexual and reproductive health. And it is also a democratic demand because more than 1 million people have signed this initiative. The FEM committee has already aligned itself with this popular call, supporting the resolution a month ago. Now the European Commission must make the right choice, hear the voices of the millions of women around Europe who are fighting for their fundamental rights. And that is why we ask not just for you to approve this initiative, but also to finance the mechanism to ensure right to safe, universal abortion in a sustainable manner. More than ever, we need a solution so that sexual and reproductive care can be safe and accessible for everyone in Europe. Thank you.
Merci. And now we continue left from Petty. Hannah Gedin, also member of the Farm Committee. The floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. First, I would like to thank the My Voice, My Choice for this initiative and your incredible work, and for making history when it comes to advancing women's rights in the EU. I recently also visited Malta together with the All of Us network, and the situation there is truly dire. Abortion is criminalized in Malta. Women and doctors face harsh penalties. Doctors and NGOs are working without the support of the government or any funding, just to save women's lives. They break their backs to provide for information and solidarity when society is failing. It is such a shame that these misogynistic practices and laws are existing in Europe in 2025, that women in today's Europe are not allowed to make their own choices in regard to their own bodies and their own lives. We, in the European Parliament, should do everything we can to help and support women and girls' health and rights. Because women's rights are human rights. Because no more woman should die from an unsafe, illegal abortion. I must say I'm so impressed by your work. Not many thought that you would reach the threshold of signatures in a country as Malta, where abortion rights are a big hush-hush. But you did. And by doing so, you show us that even in countries not respecting women's autonomous rights over their own body, the fight for human rights cannot be silenced. But to be honest, I also feel a bit ashamed that you and other NGOs do the work that we as politicians should do to safeguard human rights. So my question to the My Voice, My Choice organization would be, besides supporting this very important initiative, what else can we as politicians do to support civil society in the struggle of upholding human rights?
Thank you, Hannah. And now we move to ESN. So, farm coordinator, I don't see her, but from Petty is Thomas Frohlich. So you have 4 minutes if you want to take your colleague 2 minutes.
Ja, vielen Dank. I would like to speak in German. Es gibt nichts Schöneres.
There's nothing better than having a newborn child in your hand, regardless of it being able-bodied or disabled. Every life has its value. This abortion cult I find very difficult to deal with. There's a right to life. The abortion lobby is receiving millions from the European institutions and support from this My Voice, My Choice initiative. It's banalizing abortion. We have a poster here that says why Barbie is pro-choice. Another says Snoopy, be cool and sweet like Snoopy.
Colleges took off a teacher,
Okay.
so no banners.
Okay.
If you will show it again, I will
It's okay.
take out the... So no banners, please.
Snoopy, be cool and sweet like Snoopy, donate to help us continue fighting for safe and accessible abortion. Also ich finde das wirklich
It's macabre, I'd say. And My Voice, My Choice is promoting abortions in Europe. And the European taxpayer would pay for people to travel to have abortions. 51 organizations have said where they get their money from that have supported My Voice, My Choice, and 19 of which from George Soros. 3.2 million euros from the Euro, the Bill Gates Institution, $3 million from Open Society Foundation. Abortion is being promoted. All of this in times of a demographic catastrophe. And I'd like to know the following. Why are resources being cut for motherhood, but being promoted for abortion? Why is nothing being done to promote or to tackle the demographic challenge? The International Parenthood Association, why are they not being given money from European institutions Fourthly, why should European taxpayers pay for abortions abroad, which are against the rights of the legal framework of their own countries? The hundreds of organisations who have supported My Voice, My Choice, why don't they make their financial sources, the source of their finances, clear and transparent?
Before I give back the floor to the organisers for 10 minutes, we will open soon later a Catch the Eye from members that are present. So if you could let us know who is willing to take the floor, like this we can organize the time that we think it's still time, but we have still also our representative from the Committee of Regions and also the European Economic and Social Committee to talk also the Commission. So please let us know who is willing to take the floor. Like this we can organize times. And now I would like to give the floor back to the organizers. You have 10 minutes for all of you, so please be as good as you were at the very beginning with time. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all comments and questions. Some of you were really cute, especially the last one. I will just ask now my colleagues to respond to some of the stuff. Firstly, I am asking Theo to just explain about the member states and the legal competencies. Then Annika about the situation which happens when women cannot have access to safe abortion. And Sarah, what can politicians do? And I will respond to some last stuff about our social media strategy at the end. So Theo, I'm giving you the word.
I will speak again in French. Malheureusement,
Unfortunately, I see that certain members of the parliament haven't understood the process we've thought up, the way the mechanism will work and the way we presented it. And I'd like to reassure them by showing that this mechanism will fully respect the internal and national decisions of all member states. This mechanism, as we've thought it up, is under Article 168 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the EU, which you are well aware develops the support competence of the European Union. And as you are aware, the European Union today already finances health systems in a number of areas, and it is exactly within that framework that we have positioned our initiative. So as you'll understood, the mechanism is based on a voluntary basis for member states. No member state will be forced to join this mechanism. There'll be no member state that will be required to change its legislation. And I would add that those member states that choose to join the mechanism carrying out abortions under this mechanism will do so in accordance with their domestic legislation. So you have understood it is the member states that wish to join, I'd like to really stress that, which will carry out abortions within the framework of this mechanism for those women who do not have access to those services in their home country. I'm sure you've understood it, but I'd really like to stress this point. We're not asking for anything. This mechanism does not require anything from member states that do not want to join. And I'd like to recall, finally, a legal element is that the European Court of Justice, since 1991, has judged that it is not illegal for a woman who does not have access to abortion in her country to travel to another member state in order to obtain an abortion.
Thank you, Theo. I want to switch a bit the perspective and talk a bit less on the theoretical aspects, but more on who are we actually talking about. While we are sitting in here in this very nice building discussing about legality, there are women out there who will have abortions. Whatever we do, women will continue to have abortions, whether it is safe or whether it is not safe. And if it is made unsafe, then they will attain unsafe abortion. Who are the ones who are attending unsafe abortions? Well, it's always the most marginalized, the ones who do not have financial access to afford abortions, the ones who do not have a social network to support them. Those are the ones who will attain unsafe abortions, leading to infection, to bleeding, and even sometimes to death. So we, as the European Union, we have the opportunity to make those abortions that, whether you like it or not, will continue to happen in this continent, in all circumstances. Why don't we use this opportunity to make it safe for all the women in this continent? And I want to address one more point while we are talking about empathy and love and life, that pictures that other colleagues like to use when talking about unborn children. Why don't we use that empathy and that love and put it on the expectant mother, on women who are trying to be pregnant, but for some reason their pregnancy cannot be continued, or for women who do not want to have children and who do not want to choose, who actually have to choose an abortion for whatever reason. Me, as a doctor, empathy is my job. This is what I daily do. And I do have a lot of empathy, but my empathy lies with the pregnant women who are in need of abortion care. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments and questions. We just wanted to address what can politicians do. Actually, we need you, and you have a very simple way to take action. There will be a vote on the 18th of December, and you need to be there en masse. You need to show up en masse to vote. The same way that citizens across Europe, and you have seen, the visuals, like people collecting in the cold sometimes signatures for more than a year, you need to be there on the 18th and to vote in favor. And the second thing you can do is convince other people around you to vote similarly, because we still have some work to do, so we count on you to do this. And we thank you for your commitment for people, but especially, as we said, for people whose lives are in danger. Thank you.
Okay, a couple of things from my side. Firstly, in My Voice, My Choice, we really believe in democracy, and we don't want to live in the regimes where you cannot express your opinion. This is why we believe it's actually good, and it's actually welcoming that without lies and, of course, without false facts, we are having different opinions and different communication styles and different ways how to express ourselves. Of course, every single time that someone will lie about us, that when someone will spread false facts, we will tell this back. I think this is our right as citizens. Secondly, I also want to emphasize the fact that there is much more uniting us than dividing. We met a lot of people from very different groups in the European Parliament who became our friends in the way, no matter if they are from Social Democrats, Greens, EPP, Renew, or the left. And this is something which is giving us hope. Thirdly, we were hearing a lot about motherhood. We fully support mothers. We here are standing for a social state which is giving people a chance to decide for parenthood, to have the resources, to have the kindergartens, to have the salaries to afford children. And because of this, we also watch who voted against proxy voting for young mothers in European Parliament. And Mrs. Truchou, we were here watching you who voted against. So really interesting that you speak so much about motherhood and then you vote differently. And the last thing that I want to say is that the My Voice, My Choice community is built from very different members. We have men, we have women, we have people, different religions who are coming together to achieve a change. And I think the beauty is in that kind of movements, and the beauty of democracy is that we can organize in that kind of way and work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And now we pass to the second round, the Catch the Eye. We have already the members who asked for the floor. First, I would like to give back the floor to Miroslava Nikel, that firstly spoke on behalf of the coordinator, and now she has the floor on her behalf. And you have just 1 minute, please. Yes. I really appreciate if, because there are a lot of members that would like to speak. Thank you.
I speak Polish. Thank you. Ja bardzo chciałabym.
I would like to speak on behalf of myself now and voice my opinion. Thank you, everyone, for what you are doing. Thank you for stating that everybody is entitled to decide about their own body and about their own future. So this is coming really from the from the depth of my heart that, especially in my country, where the problem is serious, where in my region women died, it was your solidarity, your presence in the streets, your voice that really gave many women the strength to not give up and to persist. So liberty is not a privilege, it is a basic right. Thanks to you, women in Poland felt not left alone, felt that their voice mattered. So this should motivate us all to act jointly in the future, and thank you very much from the depth of my heart.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now I would like to give the floor to Helen Fritzon from the S&D. The floor is yours, Helen.
Thank you, Chair, dear colleagues and dear initiators. Yes, we have to take in that more than 20 million women in Europe still lack access to safe and legal abortion. And this is not just a policy gap. It's a daily human rights crisis that affects women's and girls' health, dignity, education, and their economic security. So your initiative, My Voice, My Choice, by over 1 million Europeans shows us how urgent and widespread this demand is. So I will really say thank you. Thank you for the hard work you have done for all girls and women in Europe, for the professional work, and for the incredible work you have done. And I think the most important question in this room, the important message you want us to hear, is that we need to act in legislation, in our rules. And I will promise you, I will vote for empathy, life and love in December. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Tomislav Sokol, EVP Sant. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you for giving me the floor. I'm sorry that the Commissioner is not present here to hear the other point of view of a big part of the European Parliament. Not by the Commissioner, no. If I can start from the beginning, please. Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm sorry that the Commissioner Lahbib is not here with us to hear the other point of view that the big majority of this Parliament holds, and that they do not agree with this initiative. So first thing to say is that abortion is not a human right. It's not protected by international conventions on human rights. It's not mentioned in European Convention on Human Rights, in international covenants on human rights, so it's not mentioned anywhere at all. So it is not true that abortion is a human right. It's not protected by international treaties, and it is not a common EU value, because there is a big diversity between different member states who regulate this issue, and for that reason, since it is not a common EU value, it should not be funded from EU budget. And the European Court of Human Rights in this famous judgment on Ireland clearly stated that member states have the autonomy, the freedom to decide on their own whether to allow abortion and under what conditions and not. And this diversity needs to be reflected, so EU should not interfere with this. So this is not competence of EU. Principle of subsidiarity clearly states that that EU should regulate only things which cannot be resolved on national level. Since this can be resolved on national level, it is differently resolved in different member states. It should be left to the national level to be regulated. Thank you.
Thank you. I will first, there are some members who have already spoken as coordinators, so I will give you the floor if there is a space at the end, because Miroslava Nikiel was not a coordinator, she was just substituting the coordinator, so I gave her the floor for a second time. So now I would like to give the floor to Raquel García Hermida van der Velde from Renew Farm Committee for 1 minute, please.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you again to Nika and her team for the amazing work that you have done so far. I won't repeat a lot of what has been said already, full support for this initiative. I will, though, go on to a couple of points which have been mentioned today by the opponents of this initiative. And the first one is about different regulations of fundamental rights in different EU countries. Freedom of religion, freedom of belief, is also regulated differently in different EU countries. But we acknowledge that to be a common EU value. And maybe the colleagues should appreciate the opinion of this parliament a bit more, because this parliament, in very recent times, last month again, we have repeatedly stated, a big majority, that the right to abortion should be a fundamental right of in the European Union. Secondly, the perspective on taxpayers. Well, you know, no one has spoken today about the other taxpayers, the taxpayers like the ones in my own member states, in the Netherlands, who are paying the training of the doctors, who are paying for the medical resources, which are helping your citizens because they cannot access those health services in your countries. What about those taxpayers? Do not deserve to be solidary with them? Do we not deserve to help member states who are helping those women who cannot access an abortion at this moment in the European Union? I think we have a role to look at this as what it is, not imposing obligations on anyone, but giving access to healthcare everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll go to Matthias Nemec, S&D Liebe.
Thank you, Chair. I will speak in Slovenian. Spoštovani kolegi,
Dear colleagues, first of all, allow me to express satisfaction with a very constructive discussion up until this moment, regardless of the fact that we have difficult viewpoints and opinions. I'm glad that we can talk about this topic as individuals, as human beings. But this topic is also related to the issue of freedom. This initiative will not take away anything away from individuals, from states, from religion. It will only give the possibility of choice. Those who are afraid that this initiative might take something away from you, let me console you. It will give you the freedom of choice. And this is the fundamental paradigm of the European Union. We have to feel safe in the European Union, also when it comes to access to safe and affordable abortion. The practice up until now has not enabled access to safe and affordable abortion. And we as a society have to do something in that respect. Those of you who are afraid that women will be given enough rights, I would like to say the following. We all have to feel equal. We all have to have equal rights. Thank you for this respectful conversation.
Thank you. Now I would like to give the floor to Matteo Toni for 1 minute, please.
Dear colleagues, this is a profoundly sensitive topic. Precisely because emotions run high, we must approach it with clarity and respect for our competences. The Commission's implementing decision of 10th of April 2024 is crystal clear. Any EU-level financial mechanism must not undermine member states' public order legislation, nor their healthcare and ethical choices they make under national competences. I ask respectfully, how does such a mechanism avoid becoming in practice a circumvention of national law and interference with the healthcare choices of the member states? Subsidiarity is not a procedural formality. It is a safeguard for diversity, democratic self-determination and social cohesion. On an issue as sensitive as this, it is essential protection for the integrity of our union.
Thank you, and I would like to give the floor to Lukas Sieper. The floor is yours for 1 minute, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Of course, there's a right to abortion, and it must not be in international treaties who are decades old. You can just look to judgments of the highest courts that exist in Europe, that exist in Germany. Herr Fröhlich, nicht mehr da, schade. But let me speak on the matter really quickly. I believe in God. I believe in what the Bible says, and I read it over and over again in my life, and nowhere it says that abortion is a sin. And still the religious argument seems to be the main argument against abortion and is brought up over and over again. Because if you do not just take it as a religious cause, why exactly is the right to abortion and the right to life not equal, and why can it not be balanced? And the last point I want to make, I think this initiative deserves our respect, because they brought over millions of citizens, or over 1 million of citizens, and you can claim, oh, they are paid by George Soros, or I don't know. In the end, it was citizens signing this initiative And this is democracy, and that deserves our respect. So you can criticize them. And I also think that in your communication, you shouldn't have done some things like attacking MEPs like Mr. Tonin personally. You shouldn't have mixed up your campaign with the topic of Palestine, even though I understand that this is a very important topic. But you did a good job. You brought our citizens' voice to life, and therefore your initiative deserves respect and support. Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much. Now we move to S&D, our Vice Chair of FAM Committee, Marko Vesliga.
Thank you, Chair. I will speak on Croatian. Prvo, evo, još jedanput.
I will speak in Croatian.
Priznanje danas inicijativi Maju onome što su napravili uistinu jedan.
I want to thank all the organizers, all the participants in the My Voice, My Choice initiative. We should all appreciate this because these are fundamental rights. And yes, I think they should be enshrined in the European Union Charter, regardless of the different opinions that I hear from the center and center-right and far-right, even though we do have colleagues from that political spectrum which support this initiative. I'm sorry that colleagues come here without being informed with bad intentions, and then they use this certain language here, and when they come to Croatia, for example, as my colleague, they speak of immigrants as people who rape others, etc. And then they mention European laws. I'm sorry that he talks this way in the presence of Mrs. Čavajda, who was traumatized by the treatment she received in Croatia and who is here with us today. We support her, and we know that she had to exercise her fundamental right that she has in Croatia, but she had to go to Slovenia to have an abortion.
Extra time to everyone, absolutely everyone, half minutes. I mean, it is recorded. It is recorded. Speaking and regarding rules, because you were, your colleague behind you was criticizing rules before, I have said that I will give the floor at the end of our list to the members who has already taken the floor, because the others really have also the right to speak. So I'm being very clear, and please don't make because I have given extra time to absolutely everyone. It is, what is the problem then?
Thank you very much. The point of order, my colleague Vesliga used this situation to attack me on a topic which has nothing to do with this hearing. He is acting as if this is a national parliament, so I would like you to, as the chair, to intervene, because, as I said, his personal attack on me has nothing to do with the topic of this hearing, and please, I would like to ask you to keep order in the room. Thank you.
I don't think has been an attack to ask him to leave the room. I gave to you the floor to make your, and so you have done it, and then that is, I think you got the chance to do it. So I'd like to give now the floor to Lucia Yar from Renew Fan Committee for 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for holding this place in its standards and upholding it, because you are really doing a very good job. This is a heated debate, and I'm very happy that it is so. I also had prepared a different intervention, but hearing the colleagues, I really need to say a couple of things, because clearly many colleagues are not hearing. You are not hearing that this initiative is not interfering with any national legislation. Please hear it one more time. It is not about questions of subsidiarity that you are bringing the money or the ideas of national legislation. Please be aware of what we are discussing here, and then maybe try to come again and repeat what you are saying. Colleagues from ECR asked if the citizens want this initiative. Yes, they want it. It's over 1 million people that sign it. It's hundreds of thousands of women that are crossing the borders, that are taking the pills, ordering it from different countries. They certainly want it. It's 2025. You should really wake up. If men, and I keep on saying this, if men would menstruate, if men would be able to get pregnant, we not only would have menstrual products everywhere like a toilet paper, we would already have safe ways of legal abortions everywhere. Nobody would ever question it. This is also reality of our time. And this initiative is giving also a very important underlining of safe abortion, because in countries, including mine, you can go under abortion, you can have it, but you have to go under anesthesia. There are illegal ways of, there are ways of doing it, but it's harmful to the people. And one last point, I'm seriously going to, okay.
Lucia, sorry
Thank you.
about that.
Thank you, and I respect for what we're doing here.
So now I would like to give the floor to Mariam Wied, S&D. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll speak in Danish. Jeg har netop læst en bog, der foregik i 19...
I've just read a book set in the 50s in Denmark about 5 women who were pregnant but not married. And they were not able to find jobs or have any education for their children. If there are serious complications today, women can end up dying. But the men continue to live. People who, the rapists themselves continue to live, but the women are the ones who suffer. If society is based on the decisions of men, that's not a democratic society. Thank you.
And now, Fernand Kattenhauser, non-inscrit. So, yes, the floor is yours.
Merci, Madame le Président.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're talking a lot about the rule of law, and I think that the European Commission needs to stick to the rules in the treaties. It's the custodian of the treaties. It has to respect the Charter of Fundamental Rights, Article 2, right to life. I read the Commissioner's mission statement this morning, and I couldn't see anything about sexual and reproductive health, because there is no right to abortion in international conventions. We are faced with a proposal for an interpretation of Article 168 of the treaty, but that article is supposed to support member states, not to deviate from their democratic will. So it's an interpretation that we cannot accept. It's a violation of the principle of subsidiarity and the sovereignty of the member states. The important thing is to implement and apply the treaties in good faith, because the fallout for the European Union would be considerable if the Commission did sign up to this initiative and thus violate the Union's treaties. Thank you.
I'd like to give the floor Estelle Keulemans, S&D.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je m'exprimerai en français.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be speaking in French. I wanted to really thank the people behind this initiative, this ECI, and remind our colleagues that this is an European Citizens Initiative which obliges the Commission to come up with a draft law, because today we're talking about an issue that is being questioned throughout the world, particularly in Europe by the far right. More than 1 million signatures. You've managed to achieve that. Well done. And this is a fundamental right, the right to abortion. Generally, we see the million signatures being reached for defending animals' rights, but it's not because I'm putting animal health below our health, but I think this is an absolutely fundamental right, the right to abortion. And I just wanted to pick up on Simone Veil's words when she had a law which depenalised abortion approved in France. She was the first president of the European Parliament. She wanted women to be listened to, and I want women to be heard in this Parliament. Unfortunately, we are still a minority in this Parliament. Thank you.
Now, we have given the floor to all members who asked for the floor. Miriam Lexman is back, sorry. So you have the floor for 1 minute, EPP.
Thank you very much. The organizers of the My Voice, My Choice said that they are for democracy. I am also for democracy. My party is also for democracy. We fought against the communist regime. My granduncle was killed by the communist regime because he was for democracy. And he was also against the communist Soviet regime, which established abortion as a solution to the society. I hope that we all agree that we are for rule of law. Rule of law means to obey and play by the rules which were agreed in the European Union. You state that you don't aim to harmonize or interfere with the laws and regulations on the member states level. Yet the Commission explicitly warns that the concept set up by the My Voice, My Choice organizers of a financial support mechanism might nonetheless amount to such interference. My question is why we are discussing this, which is clearly interference into the rule of law, the law we agreed as a member states of the European Union. Poverty is one of the biggest reasons why women choose for abortion. Let's fight against poverty, and that means let's fight for a strong common market and for economic goods for our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now there are 3 members who have already spoken as coordinators, but who asked against the floor. 2 of them are from the same political family, so I will give just one for one political family and one for from the other. I have also asked for the floor as a member of the S&D, as a chair, and I was giving the space to the rest, so I have not even yet spoken. So Laurence Rochou from ECR, I mean, if you want to give to your colleague it's one of you, so you choose, but Laurence has first for the floor, so you have the floor for 1 minute, please.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be speaking in French. Laurence Rochou, member of the Health Committee, asking the questions of Laurence Rochou as part of the ECR, on behalf of the ECR FAM Committee. 20 million European women do not have access to abortion. Where's that number come from, if we're talking about numbers? Clandestine abortions. Can you give us a source and the number of those clandestine abortions? And third question, in France, 20 weeks. It's possible to abort up to 20 weeks. What about a French woman who is over the 20 weeks, who has gone abroad to another EU country where you can abort up to 24 weeks? That would mean that she is acting against French law. What would happen to her?
Johanna, please, the floor is yours, and for 1 minute.
Okay, I will speak in Polish. Przysłuchując się tej
Now, listening to this debate and answering the question of the former speaker, the data that we have come from non-governmental organizations. So we have data. The argument that it is up to the member states and we should not take up these issues. For example, security was a national competence, and now we all are talking about security at the European level. And I am mother of 3 children, and I don't want you men to tell me what I need to do and what is good for me and what is not good for me. We women are wise, we know what to do, and we don't want to have decisions imposed on us. It is us that should decide about our bodies. you either don't listen or you don't want to hear.
Raquel Garcia, please, for 1 minute, because it's the really last, and then me, 1 minute.
Well, just to reply to the question of colleague Trochu, I think that she should be in better contact with the colleagues from Malta, because in Malta, if a woman from Malta wants to get an abortion outside the country, that is not criminalized as far as I understand. And if that's what you're suggesting, then I would like you to defend the idea and confirm, if that's what you think, that when a citizen of France after 20 weeks would get an abortion somewhere in the European Union, that you would actually be asking for an extradition order for that person to be taken back to France?
Thank you.
And should time her. She wasn't a coordinator.
She's not a coordinator, but I say because of it. Well, you have 1 minute, half minute, as she has taken.
Grazie, la ringrazio, Presidente, davvero.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to respond to the point saying that we're not well informed. We've had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months. This question is for a women's safety. That's what we're being told. But is this true? Are we acting in good faith? But what about providing economic support and psychological support for women in difficulty? If we're talking about democracy, there was a petition a few years ago which gained 1.7 million signatures, and nothing was done about it.
I will speak in Spanish just to change my... voy a intentar hacerlo.
So I'll try and do this in Spanish, the Chair said, in under a minute. I'd like to thank you for this initiative because it does involve mobilizing citizens, and I also wanted to say that the government in Spain has suggested amending the Article 43 of the Spanish Constitution to try and legalize, to make sure that abortion is legalized, because it's not being respected by many regional governments in the country. This is 40 years after our first abortion law. The right to decide is not a moral or ideological question. It's a question of freedom. And no democracy can be complete if women cannot decide over our own bodies, our own health, and our own life project. This right is a major democratic consensus and needs to be carried out in decent conditions, with dignity. On the financing aspect, I would invite you to read, as Mr. Lani said, the report of the Parliament's Reproductive Rights Forum, the tip of the iceberg, which shows the funding for anti-abortion groups in the world to try and to deprive women of this right to abortion in the European Union.
Now it's time to give the floor back to the organizers, again for 10 minutes, please. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I will try to respond to everything and be as short as possible. So firstly, I want to say that when we started with this initiative, so many people said to us, don't do this. You will be attacked. Things will be terrible. You will come to institutions. People will not listen to you. So many people tried and then they failed. It doesn't make sense. And at the beginning, we almost believed them because when we looked around, we actually saw that there are countries where systems are failing women again and again. And yes, it is true, 20 million of women do not have access to safe abortion in Europe. Some of them because laws are banning abortion, and the others because doctors do not want to perform the abortions, but the facts are clear. But then we also knew that tragedies are happening all the time and that they will still happen if we don't do anything. We knew that we can fail, but we knew that it is better to try to do something unless you will have at least a feeling that you were trying. And then we started doing it. We got a confirmation from the European Commission that we can start collecting the signatures. We got the confirmation that our initiative is not interfering in the member states. We got the confirmation that opt-in mechanism that we are proposing is ready for collection of the signatures. And people showed up in the most beautiful numbers. The most diverse people came to collect the signatures. They were collecting signatures in rain, they were collecting signatures in sun, they were bringing happiness and they were bringing joy when they were fighting for a better society. Other people were translating the posts, others were coordinating different events, and the third one were doing different stuff to help us. Some of the people were donating. Sadly, no one donated us 100 million euros. If anyone wants, we will be super happy to get them. And then we collected the million signatures. And after we collected the million signatures, 1,200,000 to be precise, we got the chance to enter the institutions. And we got the chance to enter the institutions in the moments when trust in institutions is in decline and when hope is everywhere like attacked. And we also were super cynical about this. We were thinking that no one will listen to us and that the things will be terrible. But then something beautiful happened. We met so many of you from different parliamentary groups, from EPP to Renew to Social Democrats, Left and the Greens. And in every single parliamentary group, we met people who are trying to do good. We met people who care, and we met people who want to have the effect on the European Union. And in your offices, while we were having meetings, no matter from which parliamentary group you were, you all gave us an important lesson. In the times that people want us to be divided, there is something which is more important. This something is that we have more in common than we think. And this is why today, when I am speaking about My Voice, My Choice, I'm not only speaking about safe and accessible abortion. I'm not only speaking about saving women's life. I'm also speaking about something beautiful which was created on this way. I am speaking about dignity. I'm speaking about respect. I'm speaking about empathy, and I'm speaking about community. I'm speaking about all of you members of European Parliament who came together and basically show millions of people who are watching you that you listen when people say something, that you are here not to be far away from us, but you are here to listen. And because of this, I believe that it's not only significant that we are fighting for reproductive justice, but we are also fighting for bringing back the trust to the institutions and common work. I said before that as a girl you cannot do a lot, but if you create a movement, you can move mountains. And one thing that we realized in the My Voice, My Choice community in last months that we were here on these halls was that we cannot be without each other. We cannot change the laws on the street, and you cannot exist without us. But when we come together, no matter from which parliamentary group, no matter from what ideology, for a common cause, we can change something. And the change that we are fighting for is a Europe where not a single life will be endangered because women will not get health care. We are fighting for a Europe where reproductive justice is respected. And we are fighting for Europe where not a single woman will feel anxiety because she will not be able to go to the doctor. Now that we are finishing with this hearing, I am asking you for one final thing. I am asking you to imagine how we will feel if in 2 months we will realize that together we changed something, that together we changed Europe in a way that it is protecting every single life, no matter where a woman is born. And let's do this together. Thank you so much for everything you did for us.
You don't want to intervene? So she has been so great that, but I mean, you have time. Yeah? No? Okay. So now let's move to the commission, not the commissioner, but the commission. And I would like to thank, as I did before, Irene Motzova, Deputy Director General for Justice and Consumers from the European Commission. So the floor is yours, and thank you for joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and also let me first of all thank the organizers for the presentation and very useful clarifications. But equally, let me thank to all the honorable members taking time and expressing also their views, which are very important for a commissioner. Now, as Commissioner Lahbib, which unfortunately had to leave for other events, so she pointed out, as a Commission, we consider that everyone across the European Union should have adequate access to quality healthcare and treatment, and that the sexual and reproductive health rights are at the core of gender equality. Now, the roadmap for the women's rights, to which we all committed, including this very important House, explicitly refers to the need to protect women's health by supporting and complementing, in full respect of the treaties, health action by the member states regarding women's access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. And we will follow up on the roadmap by presenting in the March next year, hopefully, the new gender equality strategy covering 2026-2030, which will set out concrete actions, measures, and initiatives for the next 5 years. And we also thank you for the concrete suggestions in your report adopted on the 13th of November. And we will also continue to fund civil society organizations working on gender equality, including sexual and reproductive health and rights through the Citizens' Equality, Rights and Value current program and the future Agora EU program. And we will, of course, continue to support regular exchanges of good practices between member states and stakeholders in this area. Now, in a bit of the reply of the honorable members, I will somehow build up on what Commissioner Lahbib explained in her opening remarks. We are currently in the examination phase of the initiative procedure, and in this phase, the Commission decides what action, if any, will take in response of your requests, meaning the organizational requests, within the scope of the registration decision, and also the limits of Commission's competence in the health matters. Now, in the registration decision in April 24, the Commission already concluded that providing financial support falls under the European Union's supportive competence. Any proposal, of course, for a follow-up action will need to comply with the Article 168(7) from the treaty, which provides that the definition of the health policy and organization and delivery of health services falls within the competence of the member states, also in the context, of course, of the current and the future MFF. Now, the Commission, the initiative usually advocates action from a specific viewpoint. So if there is already a call for action, that does not automatically represent all interests and all views present in our societies. So when considering on the side of the Commission the best way to respond to the successful initiative, we have to balance all the relevant interests and viewpoints. And this is also why the discussion like the one today is so important. And let me once again thank all the honorable members and also initiators of the initiative for their views. We have listened to you attentively, and we will take your questions and replies carefully into the account when preparing the final reply of the initiative. And the final step of this assessment will be our formal answer in the form of communication, which will be adopted by the College of Commissioners as a collective submission, and we will take up the follow-up of this request of the initiative, and we will hope to do it early March next year. So thank you very much for the opportunity also to clarify some of the issues raised by the honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And still, we have other stakeholders and bodies that joined us today, and we still have time to, obviously, to listen to them. That two persons I know both well from different aspects. So José Antonio Moreno Díaz, the rapporteur for the own initiative opinion of the European Economic and Social Committee. Thank you for being here. And our former FEM member and colleague from the S&D, Karina Olson, representing the Committee of Regions. She serves as a rapporteur of the Committee of Regions' opinion on strengthening women's rights in the European Union, a local and regional perspectives that was adopted, and it was on October 14. So I would like now to give the floor to both of you, each one for 5 minutes. Our co-chair is not yet back, so you could have a couple of more minutes, but still, if she comes, we have also to give some minutes for her. So the floor is yours, José Antonio.
Buenos días.
Hello, and thank you very much. I wanted to, first of all, thank the European Parliament for organising this very interesting debate, and thank you to Ms. Galvez as well for managing this debate so well. It's a very sensitive issue. First of all, congratulations, and thanks from the committee as well to the organisers of this European Citizens Initiative. We do welcome the civic efforts and the social commitment of the European Citizens Initiative, My Voice, My Choice, from the Economic and Social Committee's point of view. Clearly, citizens have asked for their political decision makers to take some decisions here. This is democracy in action. The Economic and Social Committee's report that was approved last week by the SOC section saw us work together with the organisers of the initiative whilst drafting the opinion, and at the SOC meeting where it was approved virtually by unanimity, which will go to the plenary in January. The European Union's Economic and Social Committee fully supports the European Citizens Initiative's request, because it can't be any other way. This is the voice of civil society. And at the Economic and Social Committee, we think that the success lies here in December 2025 in us discussing this issue, breaking taboos, breaking the silence on what women do with their bodies. I'm a feminist, and I think in December 2025, it's terrifying that we're still discussing women's rights, their own personal choices, their own personal independence, their own sexual freedom, and their own independence as human beings, and the power to decide on their own bodies. Ladies and gentlemen, the European Union's cohesion is not just having common infrastructures, but it's also social cohesion based on cohesion with a view to our human rights and the right of women to decide on their own bodies, and to have mechanisms that provide for termination of pregnancy is something that will bolster cohesion in the European Union. You are promoting a better life for virtually half of the European population, women. You are promoting a better life for women by making things easier, just by the mere fact that they can decide on their own bodies and what they do with them. So you can count on the European Economic and Social Committee. You have our full support and my sincerest congratulations. Thank you very much.
And now from the Committee of Regions, Karina Olson, please, the floor is yours, and please, you are like in your house, as you have been in this house a few years, so it's your turn. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, dear colleagues, dear organisers. And it is very good to be back in the European Parliament to discuss a topic that is at the heart of women's rights and of our democracies. I speak today as the Bureau Rapporteur for Gender Equality of the European Committee of Regions, and as the author of our recent opinion on strengthening women's rights and gender equality in the EU, a local, a regional perspective. I bring you a simple message. When you look at women's rights from the ground up, from cities, towns, and villages, you see very clearly where Europe is advancing and where we are still failing. From that perspective, I would like to share 3 messages. First, sexual and reproductive health and rights, including safe and accessible abortion, are fundamental rights, not privileges. In our Committee of Regions opinion, we make it very clear. Every woman and girl in the EU must be able to access affordable, right-based health services where she lives, not after crossing border or traveling hundreds of kilometers. This is part of her bodily autonomy and her human dignity. Today's European Citizens Initiative, My Voice, My Choice, tell us that this is still not a reality. Too many women must still travel, take time off work, hide from employers, or even from their own families, simply to obtain health care that should be available as a matter of course. Local and regional leaders see this every day. A right only exists when it can be exercised. If safe abortion is available in law but not in practice where a woman lives, then Europe has not finished its job. My second message is that this initiative goes to the core of European cohesion. In Europe today, access to safe abortion and to broader reproductive health care still depends too much on where you live. Your region, your income, your transport links, the political color of your local or national government, that is not acceptable in a union of equality. Cities and regions are on the front line. They run hospitals, clinics, and counseling centers. They fund social services and shelters. They see the financial and human costs when women are forced to travel or delay care. In our opinion, we therefore call for gender equality and social SRHR to be fully integrated into cohesion policy and the next multi-annual financial framework and the European Social Fund Plus. Local and regional authorities must have the resources, the legal certainty, and the backing they need to provide these services without carrying the burden alone. Cohesion is not about bridges, not only about bridges and roads. It's about ensuring that women's postcode does not decide her rights. My third message is about responsibility and partnerships. When I met the volunteers behind My Voice, My Choice, and saw citizens who refused to accept that some women will simply be left behind, they come from cities and remote areas, from regions with resources and regions with none. They organized across borders because they saw injustice and chose action instead of resignations. And thank you for that. When citizens show this kind of courage, institutions must match it. This means 3 things in my perspective. Recognizing local and regional authorities as strategic partners in any follow-up to this initiative, in the roadmap for women's rights and in the future EU gender equality strategy. Embedding gender equality and SRHR in everyday governance, in budgeting, planning, urban design, transport, and data collection, not treating them as one-off projects. Putting in place real accountability mechanisms, gender audits, equality observatories, and strong local equality bodies, so that commitments at EU level become measurable progress in people's lives. This is not a message of fear. It is a message of responsibility, presence, and solidarity. It is Europe at its best, protecting each other across borders and beyond politics. So let me conclude. This European Citizens' Initiative shows that people still have to fight, still have to travel, still have to suffer to exercise a fundamental right. We should dare to ask, how much longer? How much longer will geography decide a woman's fate? I support my voice, my choice, because it is about saving lives. It is about securing dignity. And it's about strengthening cohesion and democracy in our union. And dear organizers and dear colleagues, thank you for bringing us together today and have this discussion. It is a privilege to be back in the European Parliament with the message ensured in the daily reality of Europe's regions and cities. And my body, my choice, must become a live reality for every woman in every region. So once again, thank you everybody for these so important discussions, and I hope for the decisions in December from this Parliament.
Thank you very much to both of you for being here as advisory bodies, and also for reminding us that it is fundamental within the European Union protecting each other across borders. So now I welcome back our Petty Vice Chair, and I would like to give her the floor for final remarks. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was in another committee, wasn't able to split myself, and it's a very big pity, but I followed you thanks to my policy advisor, and so thank you very much for all of you for your contribution, and I will speak again in Italian. Siamo giunti alla fine.
We have come to the end of this public hearing, and on behalf of the Petitions Committee, I would once again like to thank you for this very in-depth debate and very interesting contributions. This is a hearing which has allowed us to fully evaluate the initiative. I'd like to thank all the rapporteurs who have spoken about all the different aspects of the question. My Voice, My Choice is an initiative which deals with the possibilities and questions and, generally speaking, the whole debate in Europe. We have heard arguments which are very well structured. We have heard direct testimony. We've had a legal and technical contribution. And all this, of course, enriches the debate. So we have a full file and many different approaches in the European Union. The political exercise that we're carrying out today is to represent the needs of everyone, not only those that we are close to. The Citizens' Initiative should be at the center of our debates. We have to respect that, and we don't wish to see any obstacles raised to it. So it must remain one of the means with which European citizens can have an effect on the European debate. It's an example of direct transnational democracy, and it is one of the tools that we have in our political debate. The Union is growing and growing stronger when it hears the voices of its citizens, especially when we hear of such passionate debate and arguments. Thank you very much indeed.
Grazie mille. And now I would like to conclude this hearing because we are coming to an end on time. That's very good. And I would like to sincerely thank the organizers of My Voice, My Choice initiative. You have been very brave. Everybody told you. And also the commissioner, but also Mrs. Motsova for being here with us. Obviously, to our guest from the Committee of Regions, also from the Economic and Social Committee, who has obviously, as all members that were here for the invited committee and non-invited committee, and from both the Petty and the FAN committee, that has really contributed very much to these discussions. Certainly, your insights have helped to us to deepen our understanding of the inequalities and barriers that too many people, too many women across Europe still face when seeking safe and accessible reproductive health care. Today's changes have shown once again that this is not only a question of health policy, it is a question of dignity, autonomy, and fundamental rights, all enshrined in our treaties and in our main values as European Union. More than 1 million citizens have asked us to listen and to act, representing the Commission, so we really also back this, as you know, we did in this already in this committee, back this initiative. Their voices remind us that rights must be meaningfully in practice, not just in principle. I'd like also to add that we have, as policymakers, we really need to take the best possible decision, informed decisions, and the knowledge and scientific evidences are very clear, and it was already said here before by a few members. When we restrict the rights to health and reproductive rights, abortions do not diminish. They only are dangerous for the women who need them, and also for the professionals that want to help them. This is happening since the prehistorical times. Women that wanted to interrupt their pregnancies, they have continued risking their lives. So this is very important that we take also in consideration scientific evidences and knowledge in order to take our decisions. So the European Parliament will now continue to work following the procedures laid down from citizens' initiatives and ensuring that the concerns raised today are reflected in our deliberations. In line with Rule 2028 of Parliament Rule of Procedures, the initiative is on the agenda of December plenary sitting. I trust that we will approach the next steps with the same seriousness and commitment that we have seen today in the room. I really thank also everybody that has been involved on making that hearing possible. Obviously, FAM Secretariat, Petty Secretariat, thank you very much for all your work. The ushers that have done a very good work on making peace in the room. As you know, we have some problems in last time we were discussing this initiative. Obviously, all the interpreters, as usual, that many times I forget to say thank you, so thank you for today. And for the other times, I did not have the time really to thank you all, but thank you very much, because sometimes you do your work with us in a contradictory way and asking everybody to be fast on their presentations. And they are doing so, and that is making the work harder for you. So thank you very much, and to everyone. We will resume the FAM committee this afternoon at 3. We have 2 very important points. the Gender Equality Index that will be presented by EIGE at 3, and at 4 we will have also a very important discussion with Eurofound on women with disability integration in labor market. So thank you very much again to everyone, but especially for the Citizens Initiative, My Voice, My Choice. Thank you very much.